Hi everyone, and welcome to the fifth video in my series of Alesis SR18 drum machine tutorials. They're basically tutorials on how I use the drum machine in the workflow that I have in the studio and playing live. And if what I've learned is of benefit to other people, that's why I'm doing the videos. Anyway, first of all, my apologies for the length of time it has taken to do this video. A lot has happened in my life over the last few years. We sold our house. We eventually bought a new house, but that didn't have any room for a studio. So then I had to build a studio, then get all my gear back, set it all up, and get to this stage. And that's taken quite a long time. Plus, at the same time, hold down a job. So I just haven't had the resources, the time, or the facilities to do a video since the last one. So, but here we are. And without further ado, this little tutorial is regarding a Quantize issue that I had regarding using crash cymbals, basically. In some of the patterns that I write, in fact, a lot of the patterns that I write for particular songs, I will want a crash cymbal maybe in the middle of a verse, or at the end of a verse, or in the middle or end of a chorus, etc., or end of an intro and coming into a verse. And I could never get the crash cymbal to start or to come at the end of a pattern. It always came at the start, and I'll show you why that was and how I eventually managed to work out how to fix it. So basically we will start from the beginning, a little bit of a recap on what I've done before. So I'm in user mode. I have an empty pattern here, a very basic quantize setting of 1 note and 2 bars. That's kind of my default for writing any pattern. It allows me just to get the basic pattern down and not be too specific on hitting the pads at exactly the right time. It allows you to be a little bit off, but it'll still quantize it for a basic 4 on the floor pattern, let's say. So starting off, okay, I've got an empty pattern. I'm in user mode. Let me pick a drum set. So just press drum set. It's on the set one that I want, or I could flick through to other ones, but I want that one. So retro 67. So we'll come out of there. Next thing, I want to make sure that the length of the pattern is fine, so I will press record setup. It's on 1. I only want basically 4 beats to the bar, so it's pattern 1 and use the page up and down. I always make that mistake. It's 4 notes, so it's 4 notes in 1 pattern length. That's fine. So we'll come out of there, and so we'll just put down a very basic 4 beats pattern. So we will press record, enter, and play. And you can hear the click track. And just put down the kick drum first. And snare. Okay, click stop, play it without the record setting on, so the click track is off. Okay, so there's a basic 4-beat pattern. So what I want to do now is for example, I want to put a crash cymbal at the end of this pattern, right, to signify maybe it's the end of a verse going into a chorus. So I'm going to use this pattern for. So let's go into record mode again. And I will hit the crash button at the end of the beat. Okay, that sounds good. Press stop. Let's hear the pattern back. Now, the crash cymbal is now at the start of the pattern, not at the end. Alright, but I was spot on in my timing, but it's at the start. This wrecked my head for ages trying to work out why, and I kept doing it over and over and over again, and I had the same result. It kept playing the crash cymbal at the start, which was really annoying. So anyway, I worked out. If we go to step edit, okay, all the steps that are within the bar and the beats are all here. So it's basically a breakdown of your pattern. There are 4 steps within each beat, okay, if that makes sense. So if we scroll back, so it's on the first one here, so let's go backwards from the very first one. So what it will do, sorry, let's go forwards. I won't confuse things, let's go forward. So on the first step, it's 1. 1 signifies that the kick drum was on the first step. And we use the page up and down to move forward. So, and also on that step is 10, which is the crash. So it's recorded the crash symbol on the first step of the pattern. If we scroll on again, the next step is empty. The next step is number 4, which is the hi-hat. The next step is empty. The next step has the kick and the snare. And that's the structure of what I had done. But let's go back. So my crash symbol is on the very first step. So let's get rid of that. That's not where I want it to be. So we hold down erase. It says erase step and press enter. And that is erased. So if I go forwards, backwards, it's now gone. Okay? It's not on that step. So I want to put it in at the end. Okay, so let's just scroll back to the step before, the very last step before the end. Okay, so that's the last step, empty. There's an empty slot. So let's put the crash symbol in here. Very easy to do. We're on the step. All we have to do is hit the crash button or the crash pad. Now number 10 is on the last step of at the end of the pattern. So let's hear what that sounds like. So let's go out of step edit and press play. It's out of sync, isn't it? It's not, yes, it's not at the start, but it's out of time at the end. Okay, but that was the very last step I could have put it onto. So here's where the quantize setting comes in. I now need to make that pattern increase the quantize setting to allow me more options to put the crash symbol in later. More steps basically per beat. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's more steps per beat to allow me to put that crash symbol right at the end, just at the very, very end of the pattern. So what we've got to do, we go into record setup. And we use the page buttons to go back, down to quantize. Okay. Now let's change that from 2 bars at the side of the note to the maximum, which is 3 bars and a 3. Okay. And let's go back out of that. Oh, sorry, we've got to press enter to save it, otherwise it won't do that. So that's saved. Let's go back out of record setup. And let's go into step edit again, right? Okay, so we want to take out, first of all, that unwanted crash symbol that's not in time. So let's scroll back the steps, all right, till we find it. There it is, number 10, you can hear it. It'll play when you hit it. So I want to take that out. So we hold down erase, and we click enter or press enter, step erased. Okay, so that's gone. So let's go to it's now got more steps, which allows us a little bit more intricate work within that bar, that beat, I should say. So let's go with now to the very last one. So that's 88. Okay, that's the very, very last step before we play the pattern again. And let's put the crash symbol in here. We're on the step, we'll step edit, we'll just hit crash. Okay. So let's come out of step edit and let's hear what that sounds like. Perfect. So it's not at the start and it's not out of time. Brilliant. Okay, now it's very easy to forget not to go back and change your quantize settings, because if you want to add more patterns or you want to change it, if you start trying to work within the pattern with such a high quantize setting, you only have to be a slight fraction out of your time when hitting the pads, and it will be out of time. You'll have to go and delete it all and delete those things. It becomes very, very complicated. So let's go back now and revert back to the original quantize setting. So into record setup. Okay. And let's change it back to just those two. Press enter. Go out of record setup. Hit the button again. And let's check our pattern is still as we want it to be. There we go. And that is it. That is how I worked out how to do little intricate stuff. And it's not only just a crash cymbal. You can use it for if there's a beat, if there's something you want to add to something, to a pattern to make it a little bit more intricate, a little bit more fiddly, an offbeat somewhere. You can use the step edit, which is basically a step-by-step breakdown. If it's something quite complicated, you do need to increase the quantize setting to allow you to do that. But I would suggest that once you've done that and you've saved it, bring the quantize setting back to two bars again, as it is here, because you may want to maybe change a snare or a tom or whatever, or maybe change the sound. And once you do that, if it's set very high, it will be extremely difficult to get your timing spot on when you hit the pads. Okay. I hope this little tutorial on one particular aspect of using the Alesis SR18 drum machine was helpful to you. If it is, and you haven't subscribed, please do so. Much appreciate it. Yeah, tap the bell to remind you if I do any more. Hopefully it won't be 2 years before we do the next one. And I hope this was helpful to you. And we'll see you later. Make some good music and take care, everyone. Bye-bye.